The Commonwealth calls the DNA evidence in this case a red herring. In their voir dire, they talked about the idea that, gee, this isn't like CSI, where DNA evidence is going to prove something. They want you to ignore that. But the fact of the matter is, this is a case where there is DNA evidence. And you've heard the DNA evidence from a lab personnel who examined the evidence. You've heard that the DNA evidence doesn't match Les Duncan, doesn't match Ed Carter, doesn't match Frank Black. But they want you to believe that that's a red herring. The fact of the matter is, they were exonerated by DNA. They try to make it a small thing that's unimportant. But why? Why would the police submit Vincent Hopper's evidence, his DNA? Why would they submit his DNA to the crime lab? Why would they collect it? Why would they submit it? They did so because they wanted to find out whether that DNA matched the DNA that came from the anus and the vagina of Candy Bell, because they had to. And they did it for the same reason. If they didn't think that DNA was important, why send off Les Duncan's DNA? Why send off Ed Carter's DNA? Why send off Frank Black's DNA and Vincent Hopper's DNA? The problem is that they stopped there. They didn't go any further than that. And the investigation in this case broke down, and the investigation in this case was poorly done. Imagine if all of the customers who'd been at the New Life massage parlor that evening had been investigated, interviewed, had their DNA tested. If none of it matched, it would prove that the DNA in Miss Bell was from the perpetrator, the rapist, the murderer. If one of them did match it, then you had a prime suspect. But it wasn't done. And what wasn't done in this case is huge. Absolutely huge, and it is very important for us to pay attention to, because you can't properly decide this case without understanding how little was actually done.